video will show how to generate G-code for a 3-axis object and then run it on a CNC router. First step is to load the file. So this is our shape, a totem pole. The first thing to notice is that our X and Y axes are not exactly as we want them to be. So let's try to move them this way. It's still not what we need. Click on the front. There you go. So we see that the X and Y are on this axis, and the Z would be this, is the thickness or the height of the object. The next thing is we can, if we want, we can scale the shape. Right now the Z, or the height of this shape, is 5.4, so let's change it to, let's say, 9 inches, and automatically these values are transformed. Let's click on the apply. Oh, we can set it to inches or millimeters. Right now we're working in inches. Let's click on the apply button and the next. Next step is to set the material size. By default, the software will set the size of the material, which is this, to 14 by 45 by 9 inches, and that's okay. We can change that, but not really needed at this time. These we can talk about these on the next step. Let's click on the apply, and now since our tool is not 9 inches, we can't machine this shape because it's so deep. We can't machine it in one step. We'll have to slice it into 2 sheets of 4.5 inches. So we'll click on the slice model, and let's select here 4.5 and click OK. It's asking us where do you want to save this, so let's make a folder called 9 inches and click save. So the software will generate 2 files. One would be the top and one would be the bottom, and both of them, each one of them would be 4.5 inches. So click on the OK, and at this point we'll load these 2 files. File open. Let's select the first one. We don't need to save, and the first one will be the bottom slice. Let's generate G-code for this one. As you can see here, it's 4.5. We don't have to do anything. Click on the next. We want to machine from the center of the shape. We'll zero these 2. Click on the apply and next. On the roughing toolpath, we will select the tool that we were going to be using. From the last job we used a 1/2-inch ball end mill, so we'll keep that, and a 50% overlap, which is the maximum allowed. Click on apply and OK, and we will generate the G-code. So the G-code was generated, and the blue lines are the toolpath, and the red lines are lines where the machine would move from one side to the other but not cut. Let's move on to the finishing toolpath. Again, we can select here a tool. 1/2 inch, we'll keep the same settings as last time. This time the overlap is going to be only 20%, which would result in a much smoother surface. Click on the apply and OK and calculate. So the G-code was generated. You could see that the toolpath is really close, and we would get a very nice smooth finish. Click on the next button. Cut out toolpath is not needed. Next, and right now we'll do the simulation, and I strongly recommend that you do that every single time to see how the shape would look once it's done, so there's no surprises. So we finished the roughing the toolpath, and the last step is to save the G-code. We'll click on save toolpath as a single file, and we'll save this as bottom. So the G-code was generated and saved. Now we have to go and select the second file, which is the top layer, and it's this one. This one has more details, but again, it's 4.5 inches. Click on the next button. Again, we want to machine from the center. We'll zero these. Click on the apply and next. The software is smart enough to remember the settings from the last process, so we're still going to use 1/2 inch. It's going to go, each path is going to be 1/2 inch deep. We're going to use a 50% overlap. Click on apply and OK and calculate, and the G-code was generated. We can even zoom in if we want to. And then the next step would be the finishing toolpath. Again, we're going to be using the same settings as before. Click on the calculate. Software tells us it's going to be roughly about 40 minutes. We can see that we're going to get a pretty nice smooth finish. And we could, if we want a smoother finish, we can go down to, let's say, 15%. And you will notice that here, instead of the 40 minutes, we'll get a higher value here. So if we click on the calculate, this would result in a much smoother surface, but it'll take 52 minutes instead of 40. We'll click on the next button. We don't care about the cut out. We'll generate the roughing simulation. And once this is done, we'll do the finishing. You can see that we're going to get a pretty smooth finish, other than right in here. And this is caused because we use a 1/2 inch tool, and if we would have used a 1/4 inch, these areas here and here would be nice and smooth. But at the end of the day, the machining time would probably be 4 times longer, and it would be much easier to sand by hand than to run it. But it's to the operator decision. Click on the next button, and then the last step is save the toolpath, and this would be the top. So toolpath was saved. The only thing we need to do right now is take this G-code, load it into the machine, cut the foam. Once we have these two shapes done, we glue one on top of the other, and we have the shape